This is the continuing story of Peyton Place. Starring Dorothy Malone as Constance Mackenzie, Ed Nelson as Michael Rossi, Mia Farrow as Allison Mackenzie, Ryan O'Neill as Rodney Harrington, Barbara Parkins as Betty Anderson, Tim O'Connor as Elliot Carson, Christopher Connolly as Norman Harrington.
David Shuster is moving today. Moving to a small room at the inn. Moving away from the house built by Samuel Peyton and now occupied by Martin Peyton. But David Shuster is a skilled tactician. In his mind, he is simply retreating to a more advantageous position. As Shuster makes his move, Rodney Harrington awaits another resident of the inn, his father, and Shuster's predecessor at the mill, Leslie Harrington.
Rod.
Dad, I've been waiting for you.
I'm sorry. Any messages?
Yes, sir.
Oh, these can wait. You have every right to be upset.
Your timing is great.
I had business impossible to put off. You seem to be forgetting that your trial costs money, and I have to think about money.
Grandfather Peyton's back in town. He showed up this morning in his limousine.
Let's talk.
Dad, I thought you said he was on his deathbed. He got out of that car, a cane in each hand, and he walked. You didn't tell me he was walking.
But he wasn't when I saw him. He was in his wheelchair, and quite obviously ill.
Yeah, well, he's ramrod now. He looks like his pictures.
What did you say to him?
Nothing. We had a staring match out on the square.
But he did see you.
He saw me, he saw Norman. He recognized us, turned around, got back in his car.
He's getting confused in his dotage. I'm the one he's supposed to hate. He's here to meddle in the trial.
How, Stephen?
Yes. He'll be shouting instructions at Stephen day and night. You're his grandson.
You know, something's missing. If he's interested, really interested, why that freeze this morning?
I don't know.
When he agreed to put up the collateral for the bail, did he talk about his plans, about coming here?
I'm as surprised as you are.
Well, maybe if you'd have been there this morning.
What would that have accomplished? I can't very well rush up to the old man and demand a rundown of his plans. After all, this is his town. It bears his name.
You know, I need you now.
I had a business meeting. It couldn't be arranged for any other time. Your grandfather isn't paying for your trial, Rodney. I am. Why couldn't he have stayed at the clinic?
Then you're assuming he's going to stay here now.
Yes, he'll stay. While he's on his feet, he'll stay here for every hour, every minute of the trial.
Look, I've got to go to work.
Hello, Shuster.
Well, hello, Mr. Harrington. Hello, Rodney.
Hello, Mr. Shuster.
Incidentally, you can have your job back whenever it's convenient.
Well, I'm helping Eli Carson out at the chandlery, just to keep busy.
I say, well, suit yourself.
Listen, I'll see you after work, huh?
Right. I'd like a single, please.
How long will you be with us, Mr. Shuster?
Well, I'm not exactly sure. Let's make it a week to start.
I think we can find something pleasant.
My wife and daughter have gone back to New York.
That you're alone.
That's right.
We talked about getting together. Would you care to have dinner with me tonight?
Well, I'll be sorting things out tonight. Perhaps later in the week.
I'll take you up on that.
201.
I can see how you might rattle around in that big house. But it does seem strange for it to be empty.
Oh, it's not empty. Mr. Peyton moved in this morning. I have some luggage coming. Will you have it sent up to the room?
Yes, sir.
Has he been to the mill?
I don't know.
Well, he will. He'll be in every office and every shop.
Well, that's his prerogative, isn't it?
And he'll come back again and again.
The last time I looked, he was listed as chairman of the board.
Look, Shuster, I'm not questioning your competency. I'm sure Martin Peyton never would have hired you if you weren't competent. But I've known him for 20-odd years, and you've known him for what? 6 months. We really must have that dinner.
Stephen, right on time.
You make it sound like a shortcoming, Mother. The suitcases, are they coming or going?
They're Mr. Shuster's. Someone will be by to pick them up later.
Out with the new and with the old.
It's Mr. Peyton's house. He has every right to stay here.
How does it feel to be back in the old homestead, Mother?
It always was a comfortable house.
For those who could use the front door, I much prefer coming in this way.
He's waiting.
Do you know why?
In here. Mr. Peyton.
Here, let me, sir.
Oh, get away.
It looks fine.
It's crooked. Needs one of those lights over it.
I'll order one.
Stop it, Stephen. When will the movers be here?
The first thing in the morning.
And expect them around noon. Stop that, Stephen.
Sir?
You look like an appraiser. You've seen this room before.
Well, I'm not used to this angle. I was usually coming in crouched in the hallway or standing on tiptoe peeking at a window. Nothing's really changed. Except the furniture. This could be 14 years ago, before we went to Boston.
Oh, it could?
Give or take a few inches.
You're still not as tall as you think you are.
I was here recently. The Schusters invited me to a dinner party.
And you hungrily accepted. Coffee, Hannah.
Mr. Peyton,
3
you're not
lumps. Even when you're sitting still, you appear to be running full tilt. Now, first things first. What are you doing about Stella Chernak?
I'm working on it.
What is that supposed to mean?
Mr. Peyton, I'm in an awkward position.
What are you doing to discredit her?
I'm afraid I'm not at liberty to discuss it.
What?
Mr. Harrington hired me to defend Rodney. Now, what I do in behalf of my client must remain confidential. If you'd like, I can ask him to...
To the left. The picture. Adjust it.
If you'd like, I can ask Mr. Harrington if he'd
You'll
like...
ask him nothing. You've gone too far, Stephen.
I'm sorry if you feel that way, sir, but...
The picture. Too far. Move it. Back to the right. Well, play your game. Keep close-mouthed. Play up to Leslie Harrington. I can find out what I want without your help.
The game is called ethics, Mr. Peyton.
Well, whatever you choose to call it, don't let it stand in your way. I want an acquittal for my grandson. I won't settle for less.
Are you planning a long stay?
Have Rodney come to dinner. Tonight. 7 o'clock sharp. That is, if your ethics will permit you to extend my invitation.
Thank you, Mr. Peyton. Welcome home. Come in, Mrs. Anderson.
As you probably know, Martin Peyton is in town. He's going to be staying at the house, so have someone pick up my luggage and take it over to the inn, room number 201. Let me see. Oh, yeah, send some flowers to Mrs. Shuster. It's our anniversary. I'll write a note for you to enclose. Did you distribute Cable's report?
Mm-hmm. First thing this morning.
Good.
Will that be all?
I think so. You know, you don't belong in Peyton Place.
Pardon?
You ought to run the United Nations, something like that.
Is that a compliment, Mr. Shuster?
Yes. Come here a minute. I want to get some small-town speculation or rumors or gossip or whatever you call it. What is Martin Peyton doing here?
I don't know. And I haven't heard a thing. Except about the arrival, of course. That same old car, new chauffeur, twice around the square, out to the cemetery, and home, James. Oh, I think he is magnificent. A magnificent horror.
Well, I hope his penchant for theatricality doesn't rock the boat here.
I'm sure that it will, Mr. Shuster.
Yes, that's what Leslie Harrington was trying to convince me of. He cornered me at the inn. You know, a month ago, if Martin Peyton had arrived on my doorstep, I would have packed my bags and got a fast freight back to New York. But now I'm not so ready to go. This mill can make money. I can make it make money.
He owns the mill, Mr. Shuster.
And I run it.
You know, you don't sound a bit like that gold-plated migratory worker that hired me.
Good.
I'm not so sure. I think you'd be a lot safer on that fast freight to New York.
Well, I think your magnificent horror is trying to prove that. He hired a gold-plated migratory worker. He hired a compliant efficiency expert with the emphasis on the compliant. But he's got a surprise coming. So you can get the ammunition ready, you can sandbag the entrances and the exits, and you can tell that daughter of yours to stand by with a stretcher, or two.
Aye, aye, sir. Oh, yes.
Mr. Peyton's schedule is quite restricted. Well, I'm afraid I can't be very encouraging, but if you'll hold on for a moment, please. Mr. Peyton, it's Elliot Carson. He wants to interview you for the Clarion. Oh, he'll only want to bring up the past, Mr. Peyton. It would only upset you. I'll just put him off until...
I'll see him.
But, Mr. Peyton...
Tomorrow. I'll see him tomorrow.
Mr. Carson, Mr. Peyton will see you tomorrow. You'll be called and informed of the time. Yes, Mr. Carson.
Where's Dr. Rossi's office, please?
First door to your left, sir.
Thank you.
Fowler.
Oh, yes, Mr. Gehring.
I want to thank you. I mailed the children's letters and drawings to Mrs. Fowler this morning. She isn't back yet, is she?
No, she's still in Boston.
That's good. I mean, now she'll get the things the kid said. I hope Mrs. Fowler will answer the children's letters.
If she's feeling up to it. Excuse me.
Come in.
Dr. Rossi?
Oh, Mr. Fowler, you're right on the dot.
I'm sorry I have to bother you.
Not at all. Sit down, please.
Thank you.
It's no bother, really. Sometimes I think Dr. Morton goes off on these hospital conventions deliberately to teach me how to be a hospital administrator.
Well, I've always respected Dr. Morton's judgment.
What can I do for you, Mr. Fowler?
I heard about the theft of Stella Chernak's personnel record.
Yes, well, her records were taken from the file. However, it's been replaced. Has she lodged some kind of an official complaint?
Do you mean, is she going to take legal action against the person who stole her records? No.
Well, I didn't think so.
No, she's upset about it, understandably so, but that's about all. Is there any more you care to tell me about the theft?
Well, no.
What's your opinion of Miss Chernak, Doctor?
If I hadn't thought highly of Miss Chernak, Mr. Fowler, I would never have hired her.
No, of course not.
Well, are there any further questions?
Do you object to my coming here?
Well, I really didn't think about it.
Oh, now that I mentioned it.
Mr. Fowler, maybe I can explain it to you this way. Where I come from, when a policeman or someone like you comes to ask questions, that usually meant trouble.
Oh, Dr. Rossi, that's an old-fashioned, illogical idea.
Well, it may be, Mr. Fowler, but I don't think my reaction is entirely unreasonable. When the district attorney comes to the hospital and asks questions about someone that works for me, well, the first thing that comes to my mind is why. And the logical answer to that is something's wrong. I don't like to think that way, Mr. Fowler.
Well, I'm concerned about one of my witnesses. I'd like to protect her from further harassment.
So would I.
We have that in common, then.
And what else are you concerned about, Mr. Fowler?
Well, I'm curious about her personnel record, only because someone went to the trouble of stealing it.
And that makes you suspicious. Just as you asking me questions now makes me suspicious.
Dr. Rossi, is there anything in Miss Chernak's personnel record that I should know about?
I don't know. You see, in my limited experience as a standby hospital administrator, I find nothing illegal about you seeing Miss Chernak's personnel records. However, since it is confidential information, I think it would be a breach of ethics for me to show it to you without some kind of a court order.
Well, your experience doesn't seem to have been all that limited. You'll be served with a subpoena for her records tomorrow morning. How's Miss Chernak working out, Doctor?
Oh, fine, just fine.
Good, I'm glad to hear that. Well, I was about to say thanks for your cooperation, but where you come from, that wouldn't be a compliment, would it?
I'm afraid not.
Hello, Miss Chernak.
How are you, Mr. Fowler?
Oh, fine, just fine. How's everything going?
Fine.
Any more incidents?
Nope.
I was just talking with Dr. Rossi.
Obviously. To be honest with you, the first thing I was thinking was, he's double-checking on me.
Well, I was, Miss Chernak. I was checking on what you told me.
I hate to reveal my native insecurity, but, did I pass or fail?
Oh, you passed, Miss Chernak, 100%.
Oh, that's good. Except, I thought that you believed what I told you.
Well, I hate to reveal my native insecurity, but I have to double-check everything, especially what I believe.
Well, then I shouldn't take it personally.
Oh, on the contrary. I've learned I can trust you. I hope you'll continue to believe that you can trust me.
It's a deal.
Nice seeing you, Miss Chernak.
You too.
Quote, have Rodney come to dinner tonight, 7 o'clock sharp. Unquote. End of message.
He wants just Rodney.
Quote, just Rodney. Unquote.
You'd make a good steno-type machine, Stephen.
All on a day's work, Norman.
What's he want with me?
Why don't you accept and find out?
Are you waiting for an answer?
He doesn't expect one.
It's your decision, Rod.
Send my regrets, but I have a prior engagement. The Harringtons are having a cookout out on the front porch. But you can tell Grandfather Peyton that he's welcome to come for potluck.
I'm finished playing messenger boy.
Why'd you take the job in the first place?
Mainly for your benefit.
You lost me.
If it weren't for Martin Peyton, you'd still be playing tic-tac-toe on a cell wall.
He didn't do it to help me. He did it to humiliate my father.
But he did it. And he can call back that collateral anytime he wants.
Is that an invitation or a threat?
Well, read it any way you want, Rod, but read it. As your lawyer, I advise you not to antagonize your grandfather. You need his support and his goodwill, and his money. Now, after the trial, do anything you want. Stone his house, paint a scarlet letter on his forehead, or hang him publicly in the square. But right now, you need him. Face that fact and save yourself a lot of grief.
Thank you, Mr. Darrell.
I'm not finished yet. I have a private detective on the West Coast checking Stella Chernak's background. It's going to cost $50 a day plus expenses.
Whatever it costs.
Thank you. Stay cool, Rod.
Likewise, Stephen.
That's what I like about Grandfather. He never plays favorites. Just an observation.
And a correct one, Rod.
What do you mean?
It's a tactic much older than your grandfather. He's just honed it to a fine edge. Divide and conquer, play one against the other. Pretty soon there'll be nobody left but him.
What do you think I should do?
It's still your decision, Rod.
No. I'm not going.
Why not?
Because I'm not that hungry.
Now, look, Rod, I know your grandfather. He's here. And he's not going to go away like some 24-hour virus just because we want him to. Now, if you want the advice of a veteran campaigner, see him tonight.
Go on, Rod. Maybe the child's better in the company.
Play it by ear. Try to find out what he wants and how he intends to get it. If you don't, it'll be like waiting for the other shoe to drop.
Okay. But I'll tell you something. I'm not going to take the witness stand. Now, I'm ready for a trial in that courthouse, but I'm not about to let myself be tried by Martin Peyton.
Preview from the continuing story of Peyton Place.
Joey didn't want a settlement. Joey wanted to live.
Stella, things are going to change.
Papa, you're not going to get any settlement.
You haven't really thought this thing through at all, have you, Norman?
Yes.
Empty words. We'll talk specifics. You like Mr. Harrington because he is successful. I don't blame you. So stop pretending that I do.